So, I want you to try a really quick mental experiment.
Okay.
Picture your living room right now.
Easy enough.
Yeah. You know exactly where the couch is, right? The TV, the coffee table.
Sure.
Now imagine someone just taps you on the shoulder and says, "Hey, I've been standing in front of you for an hour."
Oh, wow.
And you didn't see them, but not because you were distracted and not because you were staring at your phone.
But because your brain literally didn't have the software installed to recognize that they were there.
Exactly. It's wild.
That's the terrifying premise we're working with today. It's this concept called primary absence.
Primary absence.
Right. It's not just blindness. It's about the actual architecture of belief. If you don't expect to see something, if your reality model doesn't include it, it just doesn't exist for you.
And that is exactly what we're unpacking today. Welcome to our deep dive into the Atlas of Unvisited Rooms.
Yes.
And honestly, calling the source material a book feels like a massive undersell.
Oh, completely.
It's presented as this documented travelogue, right? An account of a journey into a completely nameless town in Castile province.
But the deeper you get into it, the more it shifts.
Yeah.
It stops being a travelogue and becomes this almost like a metaphysical horror report.
Metaphysical horror is the perfect way to phrase it.
Because, usually when we talk about history or lost memory, we look at what was left behind. We look at ruins,
Bones, pottery shards, yeah.
books. We look at the gaps in the record. But this source deals with things that were erased so thoroughly, so completely, that they didn't even leave a gap.
Which brings us back to that idea of primary absence. I actually had to read that specific section twice just to wrap my head around it.
It is slippery. Think of it this way. If you lose a tooth, you feel the gap.
Yeah, your tongue keeps poking at the empty space.
Exactly. You know something is missing. That is secondary absence.
Okay.
Primary absence is like never having had teeth in the first place.
Wow.
You don't miss them because the very concept of a tooth isn't in your database.
And the Atlas documents how an entire civilization was wiped out using exactly that mechanism.
Yes.
Not by an invading army, not by bombs, but by this highly specific technology of forgetting.
And the wildest part of the whole thing,
The plant.
the technology used to wipe them out and the one used to bring them back is organic. It's a plant.
It acts like a literal hard drive.
Yeah.
Which, it sounds like straight up fantasy, but it's this incredibly deep exploration of how memory actually functions.
So let's set the stage a bit for the listener.
Yeah, let's jump in. So our narrator, who we can just call the traveler,
Sure.
he arrives in this nameless town. And literally from page 1, the vibes are just incredibly off.
So off.
It's not a jump scare kind of scary. It's heavy, atmospheric.
He describes the train station right away as a place of, and this phrase stuck with me, vegetal grief.
I highlighted that exact same line. Vegetal grief. There is this huge fig tree growing right through the ticket window of the station. And it doesn't feel like, nature peacefully reclaiming an old building. It feels aggressive.
He actually eats a fig from that tree.
He does. And he notes that it literally tastes like sorrow.
Which is such a brilliant way to set the sensory baseline for the whole journey.
Yeah.
The environment itself is holding on to an emotion that the human population has completely forgotten.
Yeah.
So he checks into a local tavern. And that's when the haunting elements start creeping in.
Every single night, he hears footsteps right outside his door.
Yep.
This part genuinely gave me chills. He hears them, they're heavy, they're distinct. So he goes over, he rips open the door.
And the hallway is totally empty.
Completely empty.
Which, it's a classic ghost story trope.
Very much so.
But here it serves a very specific, almost philosophical purpose. It's foreshadowing the central thesis of the whole text.
That the town is actually full of people.
Yes. He just can't see them yet. He doesn't have the context, the software to perceive them.
Right. So the next day, he wanders into this local church, and the art inside is basically spelling out the backstory before we, or the traveler, even know what we're looking at.
The frescoes.
The damaged frescoes. They show this massive procession of people, and they're all bowing down to absolutely nothing.
Just a big water stain on the plaster.
Right. A blank spot in the wall. The missing center.
The traveler just assumes, it was water damage.
Mm-hmm.
But the text later reveals that there was something painted there.
The silver tree.
Exactly. But the image of the tree was meticulously erased from the wall in the exact same way the memory of it was erased from the townspeople's minds. So you're left with this really unsettling image of an entire community worshiping a void.
Which directly leads us to his big discovery. The house. This is where the reality-bending stuff really kicks into high gear.
The Cypress Grove.
Yeah. He finds this house hidden in a grove of cypress trees. And right away, the physical architecture makes zero sense.
From the outside, it looks like a tiny shack.
But inside, it's a mansion. It's got endless corridors, massive libraries, just rooms upon rooms upon rooms.
The source text refers to this as interiority exceeding exteriority.
I love that phrase.
It's actually a fairly common motif in esoteric literature.
Mhm.
The core idea is that the inside of a mind, or in this case, a collective cultural memory, is always vastly larger than the physical brain or the physical building that's trying to contain it.
And inside this massive space, he finds papers just scattered everywhere. And they're covered in a script he can't read at all.
And he's educated. He knows Spanish, French, Latin.
Right, but this is totally alien to him. Then, sitting on a desk, he finds two objects that basically drive the entire rest of the narrative.
The ceramic disc.
A dish with about 20 of these brown, wrinkled, teardrop-shaped seeds.
And the photograph.
Yes, a photograph of a woman, but she's not looking at the camera.
She's looking past the lens at something standing right behind the photographer.
So he does what any normal protagonist in a weird situation does. He pockets one of the seeds, he takes the photo, and he just leaves.
He bolts.
He thinks, okay, weird trip, incredibly creepy house, time to go back to my normal life. And he leaves the province entirely.
And that is right where the trap snaps shut.
Oh, yeah.
Because you can't just walk away from primary absence once you've brushed up against it. 3 months go by, and then the letters start arriving.
With no stamps,
Yeah.
no return addresses, they just manifest in his mailbox.
And the content of these letters is just masterclass gaslighting.
The very first one says something like, you were there, I saw you looking through the window, you took something from the desk.
I was in the room the whole time.
I was in the room the whole time. It completely forces the traveler to question his own sanity.
The writer of the letters, who turns out to be the woman from the photograph, she actually explains the mechanism of why he was blind to her. She writes, "You did not see me because you did not expect to see me."
Which is arguably the thesis of the entire deep dive today. Expectation is the absolute prerequisite for perception.
Precisely. Our brains aggressively filter out whatever doesn't fit our current model of reality.
Yeah.
But these letters do a lot more than just creep him out. They explain the actual history behind that unreadable language he found.
It wasn't just some dead language that naturally fizzled out over
Yeah,
centuries.
it's a stolen language.
And this brings us to the theft, but the mechanics of it, how do you actually steal a language? I mean, you can ban people from speaking it, you can burn their books.
But this was different. The source material outlines this event called the ceremony of unremembering.
Right.
It wasn't violent in the way we usually think of historical violence. A priest, or maybe a scholar, used a highly specific sacred plant, which is the direct ancestor of those wrinkled seeds the traveler found, to chemically and metaphysically wipe the collective memory of the entire populace.
Oh, it wasn't that they just forgot the specific words for freedom or history. They
Right.
forgot that they ever possessed those concepts in the first place.
Exactly. They woke up the next morning, went to work, ate their meals, completely oblivious to the fact that their entire internal world had been hollowed out. It is ontological violence.
Removing the very being of a people. That is deeply terrifying. To be a hollow shell and have no idea.
And then the letter writer drops the absolute bombshell.
The seed.
That wrinkled brown seed he has sitting in his pocket. It's the backup drive.
It is the very last seed of this supposedly extinct plant. And the irony is just perfectly poetic. The exact same plant that was weaponized to erase the memory is literally the only thing that holds the chemical key to unlock the file and bring it back.
So he really has no choice. He has to go back.
He takes the train back to the nameless town, but this time he notices an immediate shift.
It doesn't have that ghost town vibe anymore.
No, it feels expectant, alive.
He goes straight back to the house in the cypress grove. And this time, he meets the old woman from the letters.
She's part of this long, unbroken lineage of women who have just been guarding this house, waiting for generations for someone to accidentally smuggle a seed back in.
And she explains a crucial distinction to him. The plant is not a hallucinogen. It's not a drug.
She calls it a door.
A door to the archive of memory. So they go out and they plant the seed.
But it's not some magic beanstalk situation. It doesn't shoot up overnight. They have to sit there and wait for months.
This is an essential part of the ritual, the waiting. We'll get into that when we discuss the glossary. But the active state of waiting is what prepares the mind to actually receive the download.
Finally, it grows. And it's striking. Silver leaves, silver flowers.
And then comes the restoration ceremony.
And they don't brew it into a tea or anything. They literally just eat the seeds straight from the new flowers.
And the effect is visceral.
Mm.
That's the word the text uses. It's not a hazy dream. It's a sudden, incredibly violent return of hard data.
The traveler is suddenly flooded with memories of a village by a river that he has never physically visited. He remembers the actual heat of the fire from the night the language was stolen.
He remembers the faces of ancestors he never knew existed.
And the text makes a point to say he isn't learning a new language. He is remembering that he already knew it.
Which is a huge revelation, because it implies that on some fundamental, maybe genetic level, he was always a carrier.
Right. But, and this is a big but, the restoration isn't perfect.
It's extremely glitchy.
The traveler realizes that the memories are kind of fuzzy, like a low-resolution JPEG.
The old woman explains why. That specific seed he stole had been sitting in a dry desk drawer for generations. Its potency was diluted.
It's like making a photocopy of a photocopy of a photocopy. Eventually, the signal degrades into noise.
Exactly right. So to get the full language back, to reinstall the entire operating system of this lost civilization, they need the original source code. They need an undiluted seed.
And this kicks off what is essentially the second act of the book. It's this massive metaphysical treasure hunt.
He leaves the town again, and he travels to this place called the Museum of Forgotten Things.
This was easily one of the most fascinating sections for me.
It's incredible. It's located in a completely nameless city, and the museum is entirely populated by objects that have zero provenance.
Right. Keys that fit absolutely no locks.
Shoes that were found mysteriously sealed up inside brick walls.
Antique wedding dresses found in attics with no names attached. It's like the island of misfit toys, but for human history.
And it's deeply tragic when you think about it. Every single object sitting in those glass cases represents an entire narrative that was violently cut off.
But inside this museum, he finds his next clue. It's another photograph, this time of a different woman, standing out in a field, and she's holding something called the Book of Ceremonies.
The museum curator explains the context. The woman in that photo was a visionary. She actually saw the Great Erasure coming before it happened.
She read the warning signs.
She did. So she orchestrated an off-site backup.
It's a total arc narrative. She went way up into the plant,
Preserving the uncorrupted memory.
So the traveler immediately heads north to track down this grove. And the atmospheric shift here is gorgeous. It gets freezing cold, completely silent.
He finally finds this isolated valley within a valley.
And there they are, 30 or 40 ancient trees, totally covered in silver needles. He says it feels exactly like walking into a cathedral.
And right in the center, there is a stone block with an inscription. It reads, "Here we wait for the one who will come. Speak the words, eat the seeds."
So he's got the hardware now. He has the pure seeds, but he doesn't have the password.
He needs the words. And that brings us to the old man in the nearby village.
This part is so grim, but so cool. He finds an elder in the village who simply hands him a literal, physical human finger bone.
And intricately carved into this bone is the name of the first speaker.
Right. It's macabre, sure, but it perfectly fits the internal logic of this universe.
Because the body remembers what the mind is forced to forget. The name is carved into bone because bone is the only material that actually endures.
So now he has everything. The seeds and the password. We are at the climax of the narrative, the restoration event.
He travels all the way back to the original house in the cypress grove.
And he sends out a summons for the carriers.
Which is such an important concept for us to unpack. Carriers are ordinary people who, just like the traveler, have unknowingly held fragmented, encrypted pieces of this story inside themselves their entire lives.
People who never understood why they felt a certain unexplainable grief or why they kept having these highly specific, recurring dreams.
They were walking around carrying encrypted zip files in their DNA.
47 of them answer the call. 47 carriers show up at the house.
Oh.
And the house reacts.
It literally grows.
It doesn't just feel crowded. The actual physical architecture aggressively expands. Brand new rooms manifest out of nowhere. Hallways stretch out to accommodate them. It's like the building is inhaling.
Which completely validates that earlier concept, interiority exceeding exteriority.
Yes.
Because as the massive weight of the collective memory finally returns, physical space literally has to warp and expand to hold it. Matter is actively responding to meaning.
So they all gather around the silver tree. The traveler holds up the bone. He speaks the true name, And he eats the seed.
And the way the text describes this impact is breathtaking. It's not described as a loud sound. It's described as a lattice of meaning expanding outward across the entire world.
Like a shockwave.
Exactly. Think of it like looking down at a completely dark, blacked-out city, and the power grid suddenly surges back to life. One street lamp, then 100, then 1,000,000.
And the most chilling side effect. The ghosts finally become real.
The erased ones.
Those phantom footsteps, those empty shadows the traveler sensed on day one, they solidify. They become visible, physical presences.
Because they are finally being observed with the correct software. The expectation creates the perception. The primary absence is completely undone.
And this restoration wave doesn't just stay in the town. It spreads outward. It hits the major cities. There's that incredible scene where random commuters on the subway on Kruger Street just abruptly wake up speaking this ancient language.
It's a spontaneous mass consciousness shift.
Yeah.
The dormant operating system just boots up globally.
The traveler describes this one very specific, very mundane encounter. He's just walking down a normal street, and he sees a random woman walking her dog.
Right.
She stops dead in her tracks, she locks eyes with him, and instantly speaks to him in the lost language.
It's pure recognition. They instantly know they belong to the exact same lineage.
And this is what I really want to focus on for the rest of our time. It's not just that they suddenly have new vocabulary words.
No, they have inherited an entirely new worldview.
Yes. This is part 6 of the source material, the glossary of unnameable things.
Oh.
I was so excited to dig into this with you because truly learning a language isn't just swapping out the English word apple for the Spanish word manzana. It actively rewires how your brain processes reality.
It is the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis dialed up to an absolute extreme. The text provides us with these highly specific words from this recovered civilization, words that describe complex emotional concepts that we simply do not have in modern English.
Let's just run through these because honestly, I think they are genuinely incredible tools for navigating daily life. Even if we don't have access to silver seeds, we can adopt the concepts.
Absolutely.
The first one is kavith.
Kavith. It refers to the highly specific quality of light that only exists during moments of transition. So dawn, dusk, or during a solar eclipse.
Okay, so it's a pretty lighting thing, like the golden hour in photography.
Not exactly. It's much deeper than aesthetics. In their culture, kavith was considered the only truly honest light for making significant life choices.
Oh, interesting.
You would never, ever sign a treaty, declare a war, or make a marriage proposal at high noon.
Because noon is just too bright.
Because noon is binary. It's incredibly harsh. The division between shadow and light is far too distinct. It creates this false, arrogant sense of certainty. Kaveth is the light of change. And since the real world is constantly in a state of flux, they believed you could only perceive the honest truth of a situation when the light itself was shifting.
That is just so practically useful. Don't make life-altering decisions until twilight. It forces you to allow for nuance. I really love that.
It's brilliant.
What about Ormeth?
Ormeth is a bit more psychedelic. It is the distinct feeling of being actively seen by the non-human world.
Like paranoia, like feeling you're being hunted by a predator in the woods.
No, not at all scary. Actually, it's the exact opposite of our typical egocentric human worldview. Normally, we stand there and think, I am looking at that magnificent mountain.
Right.
Ormeth is the profound, sudden sensation that the mountain is looking at you. It's this deep acknowledgement that you are just another temporary object sitting in the landscape. You aren't the master of it.
That's exactly what the traveler feels when he visits the monastery.
Yes.
He writes that the forest actually spoke to him.
The trees say, you have been looking for me. It's an overwhelming moment of connection.
Which transitions perfectly into Solyndra. This term completely floored me.
Solyndra is agonizingly beautiful. It's the highly specific type of grief you experience in the exact moment you realize that something deeply beautiful is inevitably going to end.
So we have a clinical term for that, right? Anticipatory grief. But that usually carries a negative connotation, like anxiety or dread.
Exactly. But Solyndra is inherently positive. The grief doesn't ruin the beautiful moment. It actively intensifies it.
Right.
You appreciate the sunset 1,000 times more precisely because you know it is fleeting. There's a cultural proverb in the text that says, without Solyndra, joy is shallow.
If you trick yourself into thinking a moment lasts forever, you take it completely for granted. Solyndra is the pain that wakes you up to the absolute value of the present moment.
Exactly.
Okay, next one is Temarin.
Temarin directly translates to active waiting.
Is that like, anxiously tapping your foot while the microwave counts down?
No, quite the opposite. It has nothing to do with killing time or being bored. It's an intense state of concentrated, purposeful attention.
Okay.
Think of a master gardener waiting for a seed to sprout beneath the soil. They aren't physically doing anything to the seed in that moment,
Yeah.
but their sheer attention, their vigilance, actively creates the safe conditions required for growth.
Oh, I see. So when the traveler was just sitting inside that cypress house for months on end, waiting for the silver tree to finally grow, he wasn't just loitering. He
No.
was actively practicing tamarin.
He was holding the space. The philosophical implication is that if he had gotten bored and left, the tree simply wouldn't have grown. His attention was a required nutrient.
Wow. And that brings us to the final and probably most important term, indralith.
Indralith. The act of becoming what one truly is. The deliberate unfolding of your own internal potential.
I mean, out of context, that sounds a bit like generic self-help jargon, but within the narrative, it is a visceral, physical process.
It is entirely physical. The traveler starts this journey as a detached tourist, a bystander. But by the end of the text, he is physically transformed into a carrier, a planter, a vital node in this massive ecosystem. He has undergone indralith.
Which brings us right to the ultimate conclusion of his story. Because he doesn't just pack his bags, fly back to his condo, and resume his normal 9-to-5 life.
He fundamentally can't.
He returns to the bizarre house in the cypress grove. And the text plainly states that he goes back there to die, or more accurately, to merge.
He becomes a permanent fixture of the living archive.
There's that incredibly striking description of all the ancestors waiting for him beneath the soil. He describes them as transparent and luminous, and they just warmly welcome him down into the root system.
It's a remarkably peaceful ending considering the metaphysical horror of the beginning.
It is, but we have to address the footnote. We can't ignore the residue.
Right. The persona known as Gila Unremembered.
This is the harsh reality check of the entire book.
Gila Unremembered represents the specific fragments of the stolen history that can simply never be restored.
Even with the undiluted seeds from the mountains, even with the bone in the ceremony.
Exactly. You never get 100% of the data back. There is always a permanent quotient of primary absence that you just have to live with.
It's a really humbling note to close on. It's an admission that historical restoration is always, always partial. The scars are permanent. You can never completely undo the violence of the theft.
But then, right at the very end, the text pivots one final time. It abruptly stops talking about the traveler, and it starts talking directly to us.
To the reader, to the listener.
The author suggests that the narrative itself is viral, that merely by hearing this account, by learning what Kavith and Cylindra actually mean, we have been infected.
We have become new carriers.
Precisely. The story isn't just a report about the silver seed. The story literally is the seed. We've planted these ancient concepts into your mind right now just by discussing them out loud.
So if you wake up tomorrow morning and the light filtering through your blinds at dawn looks slightly different,
Or you step outside and suddenly feel like a mountain is watching you.
you've been activated.
I really don't know if we should say, "You're welcome," or "We're so sorry."
Maybe a little bit of both, but I guess that's Cylindra, isn't it?
Exactly. Knowing that your old, comfortable way of seeing the world is permanently gone, but realizing that this new perspective is incredibly beautiful.
Look at you, already casually dropping the vocabulary into conversation.
It's remarkably sticky stuff.
It really is. I mean, this has been such a journey. From the vegetal grief at the train station, all the way to the silver grove hidden in the northern mountains.
It really shifts your perspective.
And it leaves us with a really provocative question to walk away with today, something we haven't touched on yet.
Let's hear it.
We've been talking about plants and ancient language, but what if that incredibly common, everyday sensation of déjà vu isn't just a misfiring synapse in your brain?
Oh, wow.
What if that feeling is actually a dormant seed inside you, trying to sprout? What if déjà vu is just a momentary glitch of primary absence, where the blank spot on the wall of your own memory is desperately trying to show you what used to be painted there?
That is profoundly unsettling,
Right.
but also strangely beautiful. It makes you wonder what erased histories you might be carrying around in your own DNA without even realizing it.
Exactly. Are we willing to practice tamarin, to actively wait and hold the space and see what forgotten things might finally grow?
And if they do grow,
Yeah.
are you brave enough to actually eat the seed?
That is the ultimate question. Because as the traveler warns us, restoration is an incredibly risky business.
Yeah,
But it is also everything.
a perfect place to leave it.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep a very close eye on any houses that look just a bit too small on the outside.
And remember to pay close attention to the light at dusk.
Take care, everyone.